Alright, so I wanted to do a 13-month recap and 20,000 kilometer um, experience of owning a Tesla Model 3 all-wheel drive long range. So I actually have my kid in the trunk right now. I've been wanting to do this video for a while, and I just wanted to share my experience and our family's experience of owning the car for, well, basically 13 months. So I literally have my 4-year-old in the trunk of the car right now. It's just the price of having kids. So I am gonna get him out because I can't leave him in there. And then we will go through the list. Yeah, there actually literally is a kid back here. There. Okay. He'll come in a second. All right, so I got a list here. I'm just going to refer to that. So we bought the car around April 24th, 2019. We live in Collingwood, Ontario, and we have two cars. We have this one and then that one over there, which that's going to be important for this discussion. So as I said, this is a all-wheel drive, long range, white exterior with black interior. And there's my son in the trunk. Okay, so I'm not going to tour the features of the car because everybody knows that. All right, so first item, we put 20,000 kilometers on the car, which is a lot for us as a family. My wife is the primary user of this car, and she only commutes 20 minutes in one direction. So this is definitely our preferred vehicle when we're just running about. We, as I said, we live in Collingwood, and we did get snow tires for this. However, the Passport is significantly better in heavy snow. So the Model 3 with snow tires, especially if you have all-wheel drive, is perfectly fine in snow. But if there's a lot of it and it hasn't been plowed, and they haven't put salt or sand down, or you have to go through anything with any significant depth, something like that is going to be better. And I took this out into the Walmart parking lot, the Tesla, and I would try and lose control of it, which I was able to do by accelerating into turns. With this one, now keep in mind it wasn't the exact same conditions, but it was generally the same. I could not get this one to lose control in heavy snow, doing similar procedures. Okay, so then the range. Huge issue when people look at buying these cars is the range. Not an issue. If you're not doing large commutes every day, the range is not an issue. We only ever supercharged this 3 times. One time out of necessity, but wasn't desperate. And then another 2 times, one for novelty, just to try it out, and then to show a family member or something. All right. Now the range definitely drops in the winter, quite significantly. But what I found really interesting about the range was it seems that when it was below -5, that's when it really started to drop. So if you're in the range of -5 to +5, didn't drop as significantly as if it went below -5. I don't know the math on it, but it was huge because you got to run the seat heaters and the heater in the car. So I would say it's about a 50% range drop, which again isn't really a problem unless you're a huge commuter and you have to go out when it's -30. All right. So the other thing that happened is probably because we are more in love with this car than we've ever been in any other car, is we started having these orange specks adhering to the car. And it was rust, but it wasn't rust from our car, it was rust from other cars or snow plows or whatever. So these little pieces of iron would flip up off the road.
Dad?
And
Dad?
all right, sorry about that. So little pieces of iron would flip up off the road, and they would bond themselves to the top coat of the car, and they were really hard to get off. I had to use a product called Neverdull to get them off, and they came off fine, but it definitely took a little bit of rubbing and elbow grease. And I've never noticed that on the cars before, because usually I have dark cars. Never had a white one before. So that was something that was new to me. I did install mud flaps, and I think that's a really good idea. I believe Tesla's giving them away now. All right, what else? Software updates. Yeah, that was a big one, because the car literally got better. It got better as we owned it. Since we owned it, they released a dash cam. So basically they record all the cameras. I'll just give a quick demonstration of that if I can. All right, so we have the dash cam. And, you know, like they just literally, from a software standpoint, they improved the car. And so some of the things that they've done since we've owned the car that were quite significant is let's pull this up. So they released games, which really, for me, was kind of more of a novelty. The kids liked it. I didn't really care. But this was pretty big. They included Netflix and YouTube, which was like, wow, that's really cool. And when we had the premium connectivity, we could watch those when we were out. And we actually did use it once when we went down to Toronto, and we had a supercharge for 20 minutes. And we sat in the car and watched an episode of The Office, which is a show that we were binge watching. So that's one of the things that they improved. They added Sentry mode since we had the car. So the car will record footage from the cameras if it detects movement. They added a thing called dog mode since we've owned the car. So you can leave your pet in the car, and it's really hard to see the message. Hang on, I'll try that again. Put the window down. Okay, so dog mode. So it displays a message saying, "My owner will be back," and it says tell the temperature of the car, 23 Celsius. Yeah, so that was an improvement. What else did they do since we've had it? They improved the range, which would be a software update, and I believe they improved the acceleration. So the car got physically better, and they added a whole bunch of software updates, and they're continually doing updates. Like they happen a lot. All right, preference. So this is a car that we will choose to take when we can. We only take this one when we have the dog coming with us, or we need to carry something. So my wife doesn't like to drive this car. She says it feels like a tank. The instrument panel is confusing. I don't have the keys with me, so I can't show you, but you know, it's like a regular traditional car. And yeah, so this is absolutely the preference of the family. Actually, if we end up taking this, everybody gets ticked off. It's really weird, like, because the kids love this car so much better. Everybody loves this car so much better. The other thing too is going out for a drive in this, it doesn't feel like consumption. When you take this out for a drive, and I mean like just touring town or just going for a little sightseeing tour or whatever, it feels guilty to take this. This one it doesn't, because you're not burning gas and you're not putting emissions out, and the cost of just booting around town in this is pretty much nil compared to that. The wow factor, I mean, obviously you can never really experience a Tesla for the first time, a second time, but really the wow factor doesn't go away. I still like to punch it. And I just love driving the car. And I'm not a car person. I don't care about cars. I care about this car, but I don't care about cars in general. So the wow factor definitely is not going away. Keeping the car clean, that's something that was a little bit of a challenge because we live in an area where they put salt and sand on the roads, and you know, it would come home completely covered in muck after driving to Wasaga. But you know, I did it. Never taken it through a car wash. It's always been by hand, and in the wintertime I wash it in the garage. Summertime I'll bring it out here. I changed the tires myself this year. I've never changed tires before because didn't trust a tire place to do that. And oh yeah, keeping it clean. Yeah, that's where it's sort of on. Definitely maybe not as diligent as we were when we first owned the car. But you know, we do make an effort. We got these Tux Max and these vinyl wraps for the console. But you know, the kids just bring garbage in, like, and we pick it up and then they just bring it back again. Oh, just another example of the improvement. Something. So I just thought of this. Something that they did was, I mean, they had voice commands right when we bought the car, but they've improved them over time. So, for example, this is a new feature. Open glove box. Right. So that's new. Turn on seat heaters. I'm gonna try another one. Actually, I haven't tried this one, but I have my left window down or the driver's window down, so let's try it. Pull up windows. No, it didn't do that. Okay. Well, anyway, turn off seat heaters. Set fan to 10. Yeah, so it's really quite something that Tesla just gives these updates away for free, you know, all the time. And some of them are minor improvements, and some are quite significant improvements. But it's really cool. Now, the other thing, I should absolutely talk about this, is we have had the mobile tech out twice, and that is something that is really cool. Okay, so the first one is we were getting an alert on the screen saying there's a safety restraint issue. So there was something wrong with a connection underneath the seat, and it wasn't detecting the seat belt in properly or something like that. So we scheduled a service appointment through the app, and Tesla came to our garage and they fixed it in the garage. So that was one issue. We had another issue that was starting to pull away or fall down or something. No, actually, it was this one. And Tesla came out and fixed that again. All right, and the other thing, so 2 separate service appointments, and they came to us both times. So that is pretty darn awesome. Like, now the other thing is, talking about service, I have 2 more things to bring up, is we don't have to service this one. The only thing we got to do is put windshield washer fluid into it. This one, we have 7,000 kilometers on it, and I've already had to change the oil, which I did through the dealership, and it was a pain in the rear end. I had to go sit there in their dealership for an hour and a bit. If you include the time that it took me to travel there and travel back, I was really annoyed. Like, when you no longer have to do those things, like you don't have to with this one, that becomes annoying, especially if you're busy. Now, the other thing that happened is my wife drove it to school, and when she parked the car, there was a huge pile, not a pile, a path of fluid coming out from behind the car. like probably about 30 feet long, and it wasn't water. So we called Tesla, and Tesla said, "Oh, that doesn't sound right." But the other thing is, they connected to the car, and it's like, well, the car's not giving up any alerts or anything. Are you sure it's coming from the car? So we checked, and it wasn't. So Tesla said if the fluid was coming from the car, they were going to send a tow truck up. All right, sorry about that. So basically, to summarize, Tesla, they were going to send a flatbed tow truck up to Wasaga with a loaner car on it, drop off the loaner, and pick this up and bring it back to Toronto and look at it and figure out what was wrong. The thing is, the fluid didn't come from this car. It came from another car before us because it turned out to be motor oil, and the car didn't have an issue. But the two notable things from that is Tesla was able to look at the car and say, nope, no service alerts, and they were willing to send a tow truck with a loaner on it. So that's just awesome. All right, one other thing is I'm a fairly tall guy. I'm 6'4". I have no problems fitting in the front. It's actually really comfortable. I prefer to be in this car. However, with me in the front and that seat pushed back, it is a little tight for whoever's behind me. So that is an issue with this car. And so if you had, say, 4 adults under 6 feet, this car would comfortably fit everybody. When you start having to push the seat all the way back, then it does get a little tight in the back. Now, my wife, we'll put it to her profile. Oh yeah, and that's something else I want to show you. I mean, this isn't a feature list. This is just more of our experience list. Okay, so that's her profile. That's where the seat sits. And with her sit there, there's a ton of room in the back. And, I can happily sit back here myself. Okay, so the other thing that the car does is it's paired with the phone. And again, this is not a feature list, right? So let's let the car lock again. So hopefully it'll beep in a second. So as I move away from the car, it should lock. All right, so the car's now locked. The mirror's folded in. And I don't have a key on me. The only thing I have on me is my phone. So when I come up to the car, it will detect that I'm close to it. And I don't have to go and grab my keys. Right? Just put my hand on there, open it, and it opens. And then it knows what phone opened the car, and it puts the seat into my profile. Now, it's amazing that the other car manufacturers haven't done that, because, I mean, it's a really simple idea. Everybody has their phone with them all the time. Well, not everybody, but mostly people do. So, like right now, I don't have the Honda's keys with me, but I have this one's. So that's a really cool feature. Anyway, the whole point of this video was to give our experience as a family. And after a year and a month and 20,000 kilometers, this is absolutely our preferred vehicle. We have this one more for utility, moving the dog around when it's really heavy in snow. But this car is seriously still has the wow factor after a year and a bit. And yeah, that's my experience. Thanks for watching. Bye.